The Leo Destiny, Season 1, Episode 17. Leo, Diego, and Santiago were in the car and were driving towards their destination. It was getting dark. A light rain had started to fall. Small raindrops could be seen on the car window. They had almost left the city and were driving onto one of the roads around the city. This road passed through a dark forest. The road was full of trees. Then Santiago told Diego to take the side road in front and into the forest. They entered the dirt side road. A few meters ahead, Santiago told them to stop the car. Santiago said the location was here. Then all three of them got out. Diego asked, "Who gave you this location?" Santiago said, "This morning, some people came to the forest for fun and came across an unusual deer carcass. They informed the police of the location. The local police were here this morning, but they said they needed to check it out from our side." Diego said, "It really is the best fun I've ever had." Santiago laughed and said, "Turn off the car and follow me carefully." Then Santiago turned on his police flashlight and they moved forward. The forest was silent, and only the sound of raindrops falling on the leaves of the trees could be heard. Santiago found a yellow danger sign a few steps ahead. This sign had been placed by the local police that morning. They carefully crossed the danger sign. Santiago dropped the flashlight and followed the tracks on the ground to a large tree. Santiago said, "We're here, my friends." Diego said that there was nothing here. Santiago pointed upwards with a smile. When they looked up, they saw that the deer was hanging from the tree in a strange way. Leo and Diego were both scared and surprised to see this scene. Leo said, "What animal could this be?" Santiago said, "That's the problem. The examples that have been reported recently are all unusual." Santiago continued, "The police even suspected that it might not be the work of an animal, but perhaps the work of a psychic." Santiago said to Diego, "The reason I said come with me is so that you can see this up close and see if you can find evidence that it was the work of those who make sacrifices for special ceremonies. I must tell you that when Diego lived in Mexico, he did a lot of research on people who claimed that magic and witchcraft were real. That's why he has a lot of information about the ceremonies and beliefs of those groups. Although Diego himself could not be sure in those years whether those spells were real or just superstitions, at least he could find out if this deer was sacrificed for a special ceremony. Santiago said that I should take some photos and videos of this scene for the police department. You can also find some evidence without touching anything." While Diego and Santiago were examining the deer, Leo suddenly said, "Hey guys, look here." Diego and Santiago looked at Leo, and Santiago shone the flashlight in that direction. They witnessed a strange scene. In front of Leo, there were a number of chopped tree branches suspended in the air, just like the arrow that had been suspended in the air in Leo's yard that morning. Diego and Santiago approached those branches in surprise and slowly. Diego, surprised, said to Leo, while looking at those branches suspended in the air, "Apparently, you weren't hallucinating, brother." Then those branches fell to the ground. After a few seconds, a weak and quiet voice came from the trees, and that voice whispered,
"I am coming for you."
Diego said, "Comrades, have I hallucinated, or did you hear me too?" Santiago said, "It's time to go back to the car." They quickly went to the car and got into Diego's car. Then Santiago called the police station and said, "The evidence and photos have been collected, but the situation in this area is red. Send a support force to clear this area immediately." Then Santiago said to Diego, "I think it's time for you to believe everything those magicians say." Leo said, "I think we should go back and see who's there." Santiago said, "No. Since I brought you here with me, I am responsible for your safety and security. Do not start the car and be quiet. Lock the car doors until the police backup arrives." All three of them sat completely silent inside the car, and the only sound they could hear was the raindrops falling on the roof of the car. Leo and Diego were looking carefully outside to see if anyone was around them. Santiago was also carefully looking at the photos and videos he had taken of the deer, hoping to find something in them. From Santiago's wireless pager, a voice came from inside the police force that the police force had been ordered to close that road. Hearing this message made them even more worried. After a few minutes, they heard the sirens of police cars approaching them from the end of that road. As the police cars approached, the red lights of the police cars were gradually visible. Finally, after a minute, the police cars arrived. Leo and his friends felt a little less stressed when the police arrived. But there was one thing that surprised even Santiago himself. The number of police cars was relatively large, and in addition to the police, 2 all-black Special Forces cars had also arrived. When Santiago saw the 2 cars, he realized that the matter was much more serious than he had thought. Santiago got out of the car and asked Diego and Leo to stay in the car and not get out. From inside the car, Leo and Diego saw that Santiago was walked towards the 2 black cars and showed them his police ID card as they approached. Then 2 men in black suits and raincoats got out of the black cars. They talked to Santiago for a while. Santiago pointed in the direction of the deer. Then the 2 men, along with Santiago and the 5 police officers, walked towards the deer and disappeared into the darkness of the trees.